That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Boys in the Wood, which will be available to stream on Amazon August 7th, 2020. It is the directorial debut of one Ninian Doff. And I was like, is that right? And it premiered at the 2019 South by Southwest Film Festival, where it won the Midnighters Audience Award.
Boys in the Wood is about 4 teenage boys who are on like a school-related excursion called the Duke of Edinburgh, like award.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it's called, which is a real thing.
Which is apparently a real thing that this film is mocking. But these 4 boys, 3 of whom are kind of like troublemakers, and one who's like a good, sweet kid. They are taken on this trip, and immediately it's clear that kids who go on this excursion end up missing. Mm-hmm. So we find out that there's an old couple of aristocrats, like trying to kill these kids. So it's kind of like a hunt, which ends in the young boys
fighting back.
Mm-hmm. And ultimately they all 4 make it out alive.
Mm-hmm. So the press notes called this a cross between Attack the Block and Pineapple Express, but to me this felt more like Troop Zero meets The Hunt, if we're going to talk in those terms.
I agree, The Hunt. I do think it's Pineapple Express-y, mainly because it's so fucking random and nonsensical, and there's like a hallucinogenic component because they eat like...
The rabbit poop
which is like shrooms, kind of.
Hallucinogenic because the rabbits eat magic mushrooms.
Yeah.
So it's set in the remote Scottish Highlands. What did you like about this film?
I liked the 4 leads, the 4 young men.
Sure.
I thought they were all like good actors.
They're all newcomers, basically.
Yeah, they did a very good job. I liked the story. Like initially, I was excited because it seemed fresh and interesting. That kind of went away. Like 30 minutes in, I was kind of getting tired of the gag of...
So Eddie Izzard shows up in a mask as the Duke and starts shooting.
That was Eddie Izzard?
That was Eddie Izzard.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I didn't bother to look it up, but I knew it. Okay.
Yes, and the Duchess is Georgie Glen, an actress I'm not familiar with. But yeah, Eddie Izzard is there as a wealthy aristocrat trying to cull the herd, as it's called, so that the crops may grow. And he's not a very good shot. But that does, it's only 85 minutes and the concept...
It's not much longer.
It kind of wears itself out. James Cosmo is that weird farmer they run into at first on the tractor, who most will recognize immediately from Braveheart.
But which I didn't see. Okay.
You never seen Braveheart?
Mm-mm. That's Mel Gibson?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's so overrated. But anyway, I also like Kate Dickie is the police officer that's inspecting. You've seen her in a ton of stuff, including The Witch. She's the mom on The Witch.
Oh.
And she's usually a character actress. She's in Prometheus, but she has a really good lead role in Andrea Arnold's debut, Red Road.
So let's break it down. So these 4 boys. So there's Duncan, the dumb one. Mm-hmm. He was my favorite.
It was Gribben.
There's DJ Beatroot.
Mm-hmm. Viraj, Juneja.
He's like a wannabe like rapper, but he's actually kind of posh, but he's pretending he's from the hood.
I did laugh because he's dressed all in white on this excursion, and
he doesn't want to get dirty.
So they spend a lot of time him hobbling along, not wanting to move around in the mud.
Who's the boy with the bowl haircut? The leader,
Rian.
Yep, liked him. Mm-hmm. And then Ian is like the sweet boy who's the only one who seemed to be excited about going on the trip.
He volunteered because he wants to put it on his CV.
Yes.
Samuel Bottomley.
Yeah. So I enjoyed how the 4 boys, because initially I thought, oh, like these 3 kids are dickheads, and certainly because we're not introduced to the 4th boy, Ian, until they get off the van. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of a funny moment because they all get off the van, and the 3 boys didn't realize that Ian was on the van with them, mm-hmm. and it's like a 10-seater van. Mm-hmm. So I was certain that they were going to be like bullies and not get along, but all the boys are sweet, like mm-hmm. Which I think is obviously important because the aristocrats trying to kill these young
reprobates.
Kids, these reprobates is like, well, they're really not awful kids. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe they're just not stimulated enough or something, because they all were like funny and sweet and smart and they had interests. But I enjoyed how they get along. So in the Highlands, there's like law enforcement, these like 3 idiot police officers, and their big case at the moment is like a bread thief. So someone is going around this village or whatever, stealing all of the bread.
Which is broken down by, she's got one scene, Alice Lowe, who's in Ben Wheatley's Sightseers.
Which is a funny scene.
And Hot Fuzz. Yeah, she has a funny scene.
Where she describes all the types of bread. But anyway, that's going on. But at a point we learn that, I remember what it is. The boys, in order to escape the man shooting them, decide to make a bomb. And one of the kids says, how do you know how to make a bomb? And he's like, I looked it up. Well, when you Google stuff like that, you get marked as a terrorist. And he's like, don't worry, I used your name because you have a very white sounding name, Duncan, whatever his last name is. But when it gets misinterpreted, like they spell out Duncan MacArthur or whatever to sound kind of like an Islamic name. So then it gets targeted, and the police officers assume that there's a terrorist in the Highlands.
Right, and then one of the boys is able to make a brief phone call to the police saying that there's a pedophile trying to shoot them. So the police are under the assumption that they're looking for
a terrorist
pedophile.
And then they go out and they find, so DJ Beatroot has a mixtape, and they use the like a CD. So they use the CD to like ignite a flame. So the police officers find this CD. So now they think that it's like a hip hop person, so a black person. So now they think they're looking for a black terrorist pedophile.
A band of 20 black people in hoodies, they think.
Which is insane and stupid, and that kind of wore thin very quickly. But so as the story goes on, DJ Beatroot separates himself from the group. But prior to that, they run into that farmer, the guy from Braveheart, and DJ Beatroot gives him his mixtape and says, like, you know, this is me, tell your friends. So when later on, when DJ Beatroot sort of goes off on his own, he wanders into like a farmhouse, and there are all these like scary looking farmer type people. So for sure we're thinking, oh, he's in trouble because people are shooting at him, they're probably involved. But they start chanting his name because they've been listening to his mixtape. That is where the film, which is like the halfway point, that's where it really fell off for me, because it was just kind of ridiculous. Honestly, DJ Beatroot was my least favorite part of the film. So the fact that these like old white British farmers are like rapping to his music, Scottish, sorry.
It's close.
Well, sorry, people. I thought that was kind of grating.
Yeah, that's kind of where it loses me too. And then the hallucinogenic rabbit poop. And
well, then from there, now it's like a full-on hunt, because the Eddie Izzard character and his wife are like chasing these kids, but they're not very good. They end up trapping them, but then they get away because the farmers come and interrupt them.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Also, so after their first escape, because part of the excursion over the 4 days, they're supposed to hit certain campsites. So the first campsite they hit, their teacher is there, the teacher who brought them. So they try to tell him like, oh my God, this person was trying to kill us. And the teacher's like, calm down, you're being ridiculous, we need to set up for the night. And they're like, no. When they notice that his leg is burned, the teacher's leg. And they know they burned the guy shooting them in his leg. So they assume the teacher is the guy who was shooting them. So they decide they're going to kill him. They run him over with the van. But then they're like, we have to do something with the body. So they decide to put the body in the van they drove there in and push it off a cliff. But the van ends up going down the hill. So the gag is that they say, well, the UK is like an island, so he'll eventually fall off a cliff. So that's important at the end of the film. But they, now I'm forgetting what the rest of it is. After they escape the old people the second time,
and the other farmers show up?
The other farmers.
Oh,
then they meet up. So then they think they've escaped. And they're about to shoot the two old people. And then they have this long monologue about why they're doing it. And then the kid talks, because it's basically like the boomers against the young people.
Yes. Generational politics.
Which was like, whatever. I mean, I guess. It felt a little misplaced.
It's more about like who's ruined the earth more at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like both of our complaints were it really wasn't smart enough to justify any of that.
Yeah, it's just not quite clever enough. But anyway, at that point where they're about to shoot the old people are like, well, we got you, because they have more old people coming out of this hole with guns, like we're going to kill everyone. And they all congregate, and that van that's supposed to fall off the cliff just all of a sudden runs off the cliff and smashes all of them. Okay? All of the old people. So they open the van, and the teacher is still in it, and he's not dead. So, the first 30 minutes are funny, and then the next 40 minutes I didn't like, and then the last 10 minutes are pretty funny, because then the teacher comes out and he looks like hell, like a zombie, and he's trying to explain to them what they did and how he's gonna get them in trouble. The police show up and they're like, what the hell's going on? The kids tell them, oh, the people you're looking for are under this van. They find bread in the van, which was very confusing, because now it's like, well, who's the bread thief?
Right.
I didn't quite understand that. There were some funny lines in that. And then the final scene is the kids leaving, and then a group of 4 girls show up for the Duke of Edinburgh award weekend. And they basically say, hey, you guys are going to need these, which are some of the props they use throughout the film, like a gun and a fork. So, yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
That was a long explanation, but...
What would you give this film?
I would give this film 3 out of 5, only because I thought it was a clever idea and I thought the kids were good.
Yeah, they were. I'd give it 2.5 out of 5.
Okay, anything else?
No.
All right, bye.
Bye.